Hi class. I hope everyone is doing well and that you took a small break and you are ready to learn more about conjunctions. Okay? This is video 12. Conjunctions were introduced in video 11. I taught about conjunctions in video 11. So make sure you are on the right video. This is video 12. And today we will practice using conjunctions. So we are going to do some exercises, activities to practice using conjunctions. Okay? Before we do, we're going to do a small review. I want you to watch the video from the textbook. Okay? So we are going to watch the video in the textbook and then we will practice together.
Conjunctions and, but, or. Unit 8, Lesson C. I work on Saturdays and Sundays. Watch and listen. Use and, or but to connect words, phrases, and sentences. Grammar Rule 1. Use and to connect similar ideas.
I go to the gym on Tuesdays. I also go to the gym on Thursdays. I go to the gym on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
He works weekdays. He also works weekends. He works weekdays and weekends.
Check your understanding. Look at the pictures. Complete the sentence.
I go to the gym on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Look at the pictures. Complete the sentence.
He works weekdays and weekends.
Grammar Rule 2. Use or to connect choices.
Sometimes she goes to meetings on Mondays. Sometimes she writes reports on Mondays. She goes to meetings or writes reports on Mondays.
Sometimes they have a picnic on Saturdays. Sometimes they play soccer on Saturdays. They have a picnic or play soccer on Saturdays.
Check your understanding. Look at the pictures. Complete the sentence.
She goes to meetings or writes reports on Mondays.
They have a picnic or play soccer on Saturdays.
Grammar Rule 3. Use but to connect different ideas.
She studies on Saturdays. She doesn't study on Sundays. She studies on Saturdays, but she doesn't study on Sundays.
They have meetings on Mondays. They don't have meetings on Tuesdays. They have meetings on Mondays, but they don't have meetings on Tuesdays.
Check your understanding. Look at the pictures. Complete the sentence.
She studies on Saturdays, but she doesn't study on Sundays.
They have meetings on Mondays, but they don't have meetings on Tuesdays.
Let's review.
I work on Saturdays. I also work on Sundays. I work on Saturdays and Sundays.
Sometimes he works on Saturdays. Sometimes he works on Sundays. He works on Saturdays or Sundays.
She works on Saturdays. She doesn't work on Sundays. She works on Saturdays, but she doesn't work on Sundays.
Okay, so now let's practice some conjunctions. And at the same time, let's review some of our new vocabulary. I'm going to give you a sentence, and I want you to tell me and, or but. Which word best goes with this sentence? Okay? Let's look at the first one. A construction worker uses tools, then we have a blank, operates big machines. What do you think is that one? A construction worker uses tools, blank, operates big machines. Does a construction worker do both of those things? Or just one of those things? Right, a construction worker does both of those things. So here we have and. A construction worker uses tools and operates big machines. Remember, operates means knows how to use, okay? They can drive big trucks or work with big tools. Okay, let's look at another example. A cashier will take your cash, and we have a blank, swipe your credit card. Do you know what it means to swipe a credit card? If you pay with a credit card, they have a machine, and they swipe your card, meaning they push it through like that, okay? So a cashier will take your cash, and then we have a blank, swipe your credit card. Does a cashier do both of those things at the same time? Does a cashier do one of those things, not the other? Or does the cashier do only one of those things at a time? A cashier is probably either going to take your cash, if you're paying with cash, or will swipe your card if you're paying with a credit card. So they do one or the other. One or the other. Let's look at another example. A homemaker prepares the dinner, blank, she doesn't pick up x-rays. A homemaker prepares the dinner, yes, does do that thing. She doesn't pick up x-rays. So we have one yes statement and one no statement. So what goes in the middle to bring those together? But. A homemaker prepares dinner, but she doesn't pick up x-rays. Okay? Who picks up x-rays? Right. An orderly picks up x-rays, not a homemaker. Let's look at the next one. The cook adds more salt, blank, stirs the soup. The cook adds more salt, and then what goes there? Blank, stirs the soup. Is that and, but, or? Right, a cook does both of those things, okay? They do both of those things, so the cook adds more salt and stirs the soup, both. An auto mechanic repairs cars, blank, he doesn't sell cars. So I have one yes statement, one yes sentence, an auto mechanic repairs cars. That is true. And then I have a no statement, a no sentence. He doesn't sell cars. So what goes in the middle? But, right. An auto mechanic repairs cars, but he doesn't sell cars. Okay, let's look at this one. The patient broke his leg. Ow. The patient broke his leg. He will need to use crutches, blank, a wheelchair. If you break your leg, you could use crutches. You could use a wheelchair. Are you going to use crutches and a wheelchair both at the same time? No. So here, the patient broke his leg. He will need to use crutches or a wheelchair. He will choose, do I want to use crutches or do I want to use a wheelchair? This is an or sentence. Okay, so now we're not only going to choose if this is an and, or but sentence, we are going to combine two sentences, okay? So in this next exercise, I will give you two sentences. We will read them together, and then we are going to take our two sentences and make one sentence. We have two sentences, and we are going to make them one sentence. Let's look at the example together. Sometimes Irene eats Chinese food for lunch. So sometimes she eats Chinese food. Sometimes she eats Mexican food for lunch. So sometimes she eats Mexican food. Does she eat Chinese food and Mexican food at the same time? Probably not. She either eats Chinese or she eats Mexican. She chooses one. This is a choice. So let's read how they put the sentences together. Irene eats Chinese or Mexican food for lunch. Okay, Irene eats Chinese or Mexican food for lunch. Or. Let's look at number 2. Tito works the day shift. Tito also works the night shift. So he works the day shift. He also works the night shift. He works both. So Tito works the day shift and the night shift. Tito works the day shift and the night shift. Okay? Let's look at number 3. Marco had an interview. That's a yes sentence. He had an interview. He didn't get the job. A no sentence. Okay? No, he did not get the job. Two things that don't go together. Different ideas. One is yes, Marco had an interview. He didn't get the job. So how are we going to put those together? Let's see. Marco had an interview, but he didn't get the job. Say it with me. Marco had an interview, but he didn't get the job. Let's stop and look at this sentence for a second. I have a yes sentence and a no sentence, and I'm putting them together with but. Now, when I have but, it means I'm going to have two sentences. My first sentence, Marco had an interview. My second sentence, he didn't get the job. I have to write both parts, okay? It's different than the or and the and sentences, okay? So with but, remember, it's the special one. You're going to say Marco had an interview, but he didn't get the job. Let's look at number 4. Brian likes his coworkers. That's good. Brian likes his coworkers. He doesn't like his schedule. He doesn't like his schedule. So again, I have something good, a yes statement, yes sentence, something bad. He doesn't like his schedule. Those are different, okay? One is yes, he likes, and one is no, he doesn't. So do you think this is going to be and, but, or? Right, but. And because it's a but, we're going to use both sentences. Brian likes his coworkers, but he doesn't like his schedule. One more time. Brian likes his coworkers, but he doesn't like his schedule. Okay, let's look at a few more examples. Number 5. Erica takes care of her children. Erica takes care of her children. She also takes care of her grandmother. So she takes care of her children, she takes care of her grandmother. She does both. Okay? Sounds like Erica is a homemaker. Erica takes care of her children and her grandmother. Erica takes care of her children and her grandmother. Okay, that's an and sentence. Here's a clue that something is an and sentence. If the sentence says also, okay, here Erica takes care of her children. She also takes care of her grandmother. Well, we know that that means she is doing both. So when you see also, it is probably an and sentence. Okay, an and sentence. Let's look at number 6. Carl cleaned the carpets. He didn't make the beds. So we have 2 sentences, and one is a yes statement. Carl cleaned the carpets. And then it says he didn't make the beds. That's a no sentence. So, is this going to be and, but, or? Right, another but sentence. Carl cleaned the carpets, but he didn't make the beds. Carl cleans the carpets, but he didn't make the beds. Okay, number 7. Sometimes Kate works in Austin. That's a city in Texas. Austin is a city in the state Texas. Sometimes Kate works in Austin. Sometimes she works in Houston. Houston is another city in Texas. So sometimes Kate works in Austin, sometimes she works in Houston. She can't work in 2 different cities at the same time. But these are 2 yes statements. So here it's going to be an or, because it's one, she's either working in Austin or she's working in Houston. So Kate works in Austin or in Houston. Kate works in Austin or in Houston. I told you, when you see the word also, it's probably going to be an and sentence, okay? Because that means 2 things, both, okay? When we see that word sometimes, like in number 7, it means sometimes this and sometimes this. Both things happen, but not at the same time. So when you see sometimes, it's an or sentence. It's probably an or sentence, okay? Let's do the last example. Isla speaks Russian at home. He also speaks Russian at work. Okay, so he speaks Russian at home, and we have also speaks Russian at work. Do you think this is going to be and, but, or? Right, this is an and sentence. See how I have also, and it's an and sentence. So Isla speaks Russian at home and at work. Isla speaks Russian at home and at work. Okay, so that was a little bit of practice with and, but, and or. Remember, and, but, and or are called conjunctions. We are going to continue practicing conjunctions in the next video. Before you watch the next video, I want you to practice conjunctions by yourself. So, get out your workbooks and do page 94 in the workbook, okay? We are on page 94 in the workbook. Just 94. We will do the other page next time. So for today, page 94 in the workbook. And I will see you in video 13. Bye.